Well, hello everybody. I just left Medicine Hat, crossed the border about 2 hours ago, stopped at Medicine Hat for a bite to eat. I grabbed gas, made three different purchases, and there were immediate observations. Here's the first one. Not a single Canadian-born person at any of the service facilities. Not the restaurant, not the gas station, not the convenience store. Terrible internet everywhere on this provider. Sorry everybody, we'll see. Hopefully that doesn't continue. So not a single English speaking first language, meaning they're all new Canadians. I can tell you this about the United States, which is very present with me right now. There was nowhere I was served by a non-American born person. Didn't matter. Gas station, restaurant, bar, you name it, convenience store, Walmart, anything. You name a store, those are all Americans. If any accent they have, it's their state accent. No foreigners anywhere that I saw. Nowhere. I went to a lot of places. But first thing, Medicine Hat, loaded with them. I didn't see any CTV cameras in Medicine Hat. I haven't been to Medicine Hat for probably close to a decade. I worked there maybe even a little bit more. I'll have to look at that, but somewhere I'll say around a decade. And so far, I didn't go through all of town, but I didn't see any major CCTV cameras. None. I wonder about that because everywhere I go, at least from Red Deer onward, I've been lately in Calgary, they're everywhere, and in most of the small towns too, even hamlets and villages. So I wonder if that's in proximity to the border, if that's why. Maybe might be Canada going, hey, look, we're not like that. Well, it is almost everywhere else. That was the other thing. Gas is hugely expensive. I didn't need gas, but I wanted to fill up at the $1.30. I had half a tank. In the US, I've been filling up with an eighth left. I haven't paid more with an eighth of a tank left than $26. That was my most expensive. And of course, the northern states hit that $3 or just over $3 a gallon, which would be roughly 75, between 72 to, I guess, 77 cents American. Convert that, you're closing in on $1. I did the 77, you're right at 97 cents Canadian, which is the most I saw throughout the US. Way down south, I was down in some places as low as 57 cents US, which would be half as much as a liter of gas in Alberta, half as much. I was paying that. I know. I even at one point paid $20 and change, less than 50 cents. It was like $20.40 to fill up my car that had an eighth of a tank of gas left. So I just spent $30. It was like $29.80. I did that for a half a tank here in Medicine Hat, and that was at $1.29.9. So major differences. A beer in the bar in Medicine Hat, and again, small town, $8, $8, twice as much as US. Unbelievable. Food, I did an A&W, again, not an English-speaking person. Took forever to get my order across. It wasn't done the first time. No thank you. No napkins. I'd say, hey, can I have some napkins? Another thing, go to a gas station. So there's a lot of bugs in Alberta. And I told people down south, like you heard my video, those who follow, the loud video earlier in my trip, and you could hear all the bugs. I wasn't swarmed by any bugs. They stay in the trees. They don't bug you. You don't get swarmed. Your car doesn't get pelted. I drove days without having to wash my windshield all through the south. There are a lot of bugs, but they're not flying around smashing your windshield. Not like Alberta. And I know Canadians know what I'm talking about out west, especially in the western provinces. You get a million bugs. And I tried to tell people that in the States, that this isn't a mosquito problem. You can't sleep outside in Alberta. You'll be dead. You go lay out in a field overnight, you'll be bled dry of blood. And you know what? It's like that in the northern states too. And this is a point I want to get across. Every gas station from Minnesota, Wisconsin, Minnesota, all the way through North Dakota, right through to Montana here, tons of bugs, just like Alberta. Bang, bang, bang. I couldn't go 100 miles without having to pull in somewhere and wash that windshield, maybe top up gas, what have you, use the washroom if you needed to. But I had to do that. And in all that time, loads of paper towel, somebody's always servicing that, clean basins with the squeegee, clean, meticulous, soap, running water. What is it? First place in Medicine Hat? Well, they got soap in the dispenser. Boom, the tap's broken. So I got soap caked in all my hands. And come on, I'm like, do you guys have running water here? Like, what the hell? Wouldn't you tell people that? So people just take a piss and they're walking out of there and no one cares, right? That's generally what I find in Canada anyway. But it was just such a hit in your face. The squeegee, muddy water, hadn't been changed forever, crap loads of bugs in it. As soon as you put it on your window, I mean, you're going to use it because you want to get the bugs off. And I can see the mud streaks because the water's that dirty all over my windshield. And then it runs off onto your hood and everything else. And it's muddy, buggy water. There is no pride in Canada. This is the same in Ontario, same as Alberta. It's everywhere. And I think if folks took a break and you took a drive through the United States, take at least a week to two, you'll find that no matter how far you go, it's all the same. There's a lot of pride in everything Americans do there. And it's Americans who are running those jobs, all of those jobs. And then, Canada, which USA has rightful accusation that we're scabbing on them. And all this economic hardship, tariffs. Canadian businesses say, we can't run if we don't have temporary foreign workers. Well, there's none of that in the US in the same businesses. None of it. They're paying them the wages. They're paying their health care premiums, which Canadians have to pay out of their own pocket in every province. You're taxed for that. The states don't tax for that. They pay way less taxes. So here we are, right? We're seeing the situation. I see it. I feel it already. And I've spent more money in one town than I did in 3 towns in the USA. Think about that. Way more hours, way more time. And now this tank of gas should get me, I think, to about Red Deer. And I'll have to stop again. But I can guarantee you that stop, that fill, if I don't eat, but I'll probably want to eat and all that, I bet you any money that'll equal about 6 stops in the USA. That'll take me all the way back to North Dakota, my last stop. Hotels are incredibly cheap in the United States. You'll never find hotel accommodations anywhere like that in Canada. Big, beautiful rooms, huge. I did take some cheap places, but you try to even get something that's twice as much in Canada for that quality, and it's never going to happen. You're going to have dirty issues, you're going to have bugs, you're going to have all kinds of stuff. Even at hotel rates, twice that of what's the US, on average, everywhere. And yes, the northern states are a little more expensive. I do know that the more north you go in the United States, the more you're going to pay. And, you'd be surprised. The east is not the problem. It's out in the west, and then you see that it's migrated from Canada and the Western Canadian provinces, and I think they mimic that. They know, and they can get away with it because it's a lot worse in Canada, right? So these are just things already I noticed that's got me already kind of worked up, that it's like, wow, you come home and get ready, bud, you're going to pay, and you already want to cut down your stops. You're already thinking, oh geez, you got to watch your money spending, because now you're back in Canada, and you know what you did in 8 days, you won't even be able to do that in 3 or 4 in Canada. That's a fact. Food is expensive in the United States. It's a little more than dollar for dollar. And what I mean is, the equivalent food you buy at a grocery store in Canada, what costs you in Canadian, will cost you at minimum the same in USD. I found that everywhere I went. There are a few southern states that vary and are a little bit lower, but again, using American labor, paying more money, that's why I think there's a higher cost there. Other than that, it's the tax differences that your government in Canada, federally and provincially, the provinces way outpace the states in all taxes. Provinces have many, many more taxes. I found that kind of taxation in Nashville. I was really shocked, actually, but they have the same taxation mentality like California, over and above state taxes. They have actual local taxes on service, hospitality, liquor, gaming, food, all of that. It's a real shocker, but it's on the equivalent of what you see in almost all the provinces in Canada. Alberta's just like that, I find. And even worse, hotel, hospitality, way, way worse. But anyways, folks, that's my video. It's an adjustment again. Oh, and I'm driving very slow. So for Americans, you hit Canada, the fastest generally you're going to find is 75 miles an hour. And that's our major highways. Everything else is 70 and under. Generally speaking now, like even the northern states, we're 10 miles to maybe even 20 miles under you in a lot of zone spaces. It's incredible. And when you drive in some cities like Edmonton now, it's going to be a real shocker just driving around neighborhoods and stuff. You're literally like the equivalent of 10 to 15 miles an hour in some places. What would be a 30 in the U.S. all over, northern state, southern states, I mean sometimes 25, but at that bare minimum 25. Oh, another thing in the U.S., I went through first American Indian nations. I did that in Montana, some big ones. I went to my first American Indian McDonald's, owned and operated. You won't find anything like that in Canada. All the stores I saw in that reserve, I drove through it. And you know what it really reminded me of, Canadians and First Peoples? Because I know First Peoples, none of your reserves remotely would be like that. But if you see the equivalent of small town like Alberta, and a lot of businesses shut it in, and I know this, right? You see strips of businesses out. That's what American Indian Reservation, their towns are like. They're equivalent to that. That's how far along they are. They can easily compete with your average everyday Alberta town. I can guarantee you that. So that's my video. That's what I've seen. These are observations. They're fresh. Oh, by the way, I should have thrown in the border. Crossing the border, one guard. I didn't see any drones, nothing. He was actually shocked to see me. You could tell, like, holy, there's somebody here. Like, he was excited that somebody had showed up to the border crossing to come into Canada. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. That's Alberta's border crossing. Like, shocked that anyone. You could tell I startled him because it took him a while to get out there, and there was nobody for miles any direction. I saw American farmers and equipment and trucking coming from some of the communities, but it was a dead highway for that last 50 miles. Well, I guess it's 43 miles in the United States to Alberta. It was just little old me on that highway going north. That's it. And that Canadian border crossing agent was surprised to even see me. You can tell he'd been spinning his wheels all day. He was so excited to talk. And, oh, you're in Ontario, tell me. And, I talked to him. He's nice. Wasn't a mean guy or nothing. But I don't know what Alberta's saying about spending a bunch of money, everybody. I don't see it. I think that's all bullshit. I don't see any major resources. One guy. That's it. And you could tell he hadn't seen anyone forever. So I don't believe in any 29 million or them patrolling or extra guards or lineups and security. I didn't see it. I think it's all baloney. Anyways, that's my video. Share, get it out there. I'll be home late tonight. Then tomorrow I'm hooking up with my girls. I got to see one friend that I promised before he leaves. He's going to work in the States again. And I'm going to check in with him for breakfast, then go out and see my girls. I'm taking my girls for a holiday here in Canada because I can't get them across the border because they never got their passports. Big surprise. But I'm going to do that. And then it's working on Canada, the 51st state, with Party 51. They want to get on board. The leader of that's ready to help us. So I'm going to see what we can work out when I get back next week, and I'm going to try to really focus on that stuff and less about Canada's baloney, because it really is just lost on so many Canadians. And I really want to move forward with something tangible, and so I'm going to work on things like that. I want to do my California project. But thanks everybody for tuning in. Again, share, get it out there. America's just incredible, and Canada is a dive. It's a dump. It's going down the toilet, and it's done by none other than all the Canadian politicians. They really do view us as property, as cattle. First Peoples is less than human. That's the mentality of the Crown. It's always been the mentality of the Crown. That's what they're groomed to believe. So thanks again. God bless. Should be home in the next 5 hours. So, I know everybody.